Will the Nintendo Switch 2 be the biggest console launch in history? That's what a lot of analysts are saying right now. And if you look at what happened with the pre-orders, I was involved with that, obviously, because I pre-ordered my Nintendo Switch 2 the moment that it became available, and it was a nightmare. Whether it was Target, whether it was Walmart, whether it was Best Buy or GameStop, that was pretty crazy. Ultimately, I got my pre-order from Walmart. Target kept crashing all night long. Best Buy just continued to kick me out of the line, so I was not successful with either one of them. GameStop didn't go live until the next day, and I did go to my local GameStop, and they said that they had lines of people all over town. I'm here in Florida. They had people all over town that were lining up outside of the stores. And so I do think that we're looking at a huge launch for the Nintendo Switch 2. Obviously, the original Switch sold 150 million units worldwide, massively successful, and there is a ton of momentum for Nintendo overall. Nintendo is now involved in theme parks. Nintendo is involved in movies. Nintendo is everywhere. Nintendo is bigger than they've ever been before. So to believe that this could be the biggest video game console launch of all time is not that far off. But I need people to remember that the Wii U also sold out when it launched, and people were selling the console on eBay. The scalpers were already on top of that. So while I don't think we're looking at a Wii U situation at all, I stood in line for a Wii U with one other person, and it wasn't the biggest launch in the world back then, although I do remember Wii U selling out. And I'm not saying that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be the same thing, because it's not going to be the same thing at all. But I just want people to keep their expectations in check. Now, some of the numbers that we're looking at from Bloomberg, that says that the Switch 2 pre-orders are estimated to be 6.6 million globally, and it's estimated that Nintendo can produce 6 to 8 million by June 5th. For reference, the biggest selling console launch ever is the PS4 and the PS5 tied at 4.5 million. Switch 2 is looking to smash records. Now, I will say, in terms of the PS5, I think that PS5 number would have been even bigger if they could have kept up with production. But if you remember, you couldn't find a PS5 anywhere for over a year, it seemed like, in stores. So that number probably would have been even bigger for the PS5. But just because Nintendo has a strong launch, it doesn't mean that this thing is going to sell 150 million units. There is a lot that goes into the Switch 2 and if it's going to perform up to the standard of the Switch 1. Mario Kart World has to stick the landing. That is a given. Mario Kart is the biggest franchise for Nintendo. Mario Kart World has to stick the landing. Then you have to decide, okay, well, what's going to happen with Zelda? What type of Zelda game are we going to get? We have to have a Zelda game that is next level. We have to have a new 3D Mario game. Now, of course, my personal preference would be Super Mario Galaxy 3. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'll continue to wish and hope and dream that we get a Mario Galaxy 2. But hey, Nintendo, even if you're not going to give us a Mario Galaxy 2 or a Mario Galaxy 3, can you give me Galaxy 2 on the Switch 2? Please, just give me Galaxy 2. They released Mario Galaxy 1 with the 3D All-Stars game, but no mention of the greatness of Galaxy 2. But I'll leave that discussion for another time. Mainline Zelda, mainline Mario, these things have to be amazing. We need to get a new Splatoon game. And then one thing that gets overlooked from the original Nintendo Switch is the third-party support. If you go on the eShop, the incredible amount of third-party support on the Switch 1 is truly insane. And it's a lot of games that maybe you haven't heard of, or a lot of games that don't turn the needle for a lot of the normies out there, but there are a ton of third-party games that many of you probably have never heard of that people live and breathe on their Switch with. That's what the Switch was for them. So Nintendo has a lot of work. So even if they are able to stick the landing on this launch, which it looks like they are based on all the information that we have, all the reports that we've seen, whether it's from GameStop, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, or other retailers, all of them are saying it's sold out. So this is going to be a good launch. But that doesn't mean that the Switch 2 is immediately going to be the biggest success in the world. I clearly hope it is. I'm a fan of Nintendo, and I want to see this system succeed, and I want to see them succeed moving forward. But people need to get their expectations in check. This could be the biggest video game console launch of all time within perspective, because I do believe that the PlayStation 5 may have sold more than 4.5 million if they could have kept up with the demand. Switch 2, if it does push 6 million units, they're going to rewrite the record books, and Nintendo fans are going to rejoice, as they should, but understand that there's a long road for this system to catch lightning in a bottle for a second time like the first Switch did, and I think Nintendo can do it, but we have to keep things in perspective. What games do you think, beyond what we already have at launch, are you looking forward to? What does Nintendo need? Obviously, I'm really happy that we're getting Metroid Prime 4. I prefer the 2D Metroid games. I loved Metroid Dread. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I love Super Metroid. I've always liked the 2D side-scrollers more than 3D games, although the Prime games are fantastic. We're getting those. Metroid's never been a big system seller, unfortunately, but I would love, more than anything, and I know it's probably not going to happen, I would love Double Dash Remastered at some point in time. Maybe a few years into the console, give us Double Dash Remastered with online support, and I will never put my controller down. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What games do you want to see on the Nintendo Switch beyond what has been announced? And do you think it's going to break all of these sales records? Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.